This is one of their mobile kitchens that they actually...
Is that even some, what I call habitual...
Beautiful Stop and Shop in the Wilton. Penalty, but it was actually a tax, and that it... Absolutely. What's the name of the show? Good evening and welcome once again to the Marty Heiser Show. We've got an incredible show tonight. I mean, it's unbelievable. Spring has not sprung. It's still cold as heck out there. I had ice on my deck yesterday morning. So sit tight, settle in, and we got an interesting show. You're going to meet Ralph Castaldi. He was Mr. New York back in the day, a real top-tier bodybuilder in the region, and he's got an incredible story about overcoming injury and setbacks. He had knee surgery so bad they were talking about actually taking off his leg, but he's bounced back, showed a real resolution, and well, wait till you see him. We have some pictures. It's unbelievable. Also, an update on the walkout at Ridgefield High School and some of the other schools. I just love that the young people are wrestling with this issue of gun violence in the school, violence in the schools, gun rights, Second Amendment versus gun control, what can be done. There's some students, I've had reports that an alternate view in the form of a poster is actually being taken down. Now, you think that's a good idea, kind of like taking down Trump signs back a year ago and stuff. You feel good, you feel like you're doing something good. You're not doing stuff good. You may disagree with them, but this is America. And in America, everyone gets to express their views. It's called the First Amendment. It's in the Constitution. So you may disagree with their desire to own guns or their desire to promote the Second Amendment, but you cannot, or you should not, tear down their posters and things like that. So we're going to have a couple kids from Ridgefield High School, Rachel and Matt, they're going to come in and give us an update on all that. And then we're going to have the mother of all roundtables. Yes, Dave Streit will be here. Mike Medeiros, now of Fox News. He's the guy when the news guys are up there, they're walking around in the back, getting their deck, getting to their desk or copying something. They're going to be here. And also Al Alper. Yes, that AA Al Alper will be in. So sit tight. This is commercial free. We're coming right into your house, absolutely free. So what do you want? No commercials. Hang tight, you're gonna love it. I wanna give a big shout out. You can't really see it that well, but these are some beautiful artwork that's been put together by Mike Simon, AKA Mike Lombardi. Thank you so much. We're going three-dimensional now. It's not just drawings, but it's actually standing artwork. This is sort of almost like a sculpture. So thank you very much, Mike. Keep them coming, and shout out to you. Ralph, thank you so much for coming in.
It's a pleasure.
I really appreciate it. Now, I want to start the show, and if we can get a shot of this, because you are well-dressed, well-turned out. I like the whole outfit. But this is how you appear. And putting to shame, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you right now?
I turned 50 this past February.
50. I defy you. I defy you out there in the vast viewing audience. How many 50-somethings got a physique like that? I'm just going to be honest and transparent. I look a lot better in clothes than what you're wearing right there. So you're into bodybuilding.
Yes.
What type of discipline does it take to get a body like this early on in your life when you were Mr. Universe or Mr. New York, and now when you just won a more recent competition?
Sure. Well, back when I was 23 years old is when I won my first bodybuilding competition. It was the ANPPC New York State Championships.
23?
Yes.
Okay.
I was a lightweight champion.
Mm-hmm.
Did a few more shows in the last couple of years after that, and did place in most of them, top 5 each one. Then for a while, I decided it was time to hang up the trunks, per se. I'm a lifetime natural bodybuilder, so it got to the point where I really didn't feel I can compete with the big guys anymore. Took a break. Had a lot of life experiences. Got married about 6 years ago. I have a beautiful wife who is very supportive. 2 beautiful children who are 3 and 1. And they had never seen me compete. My wife had never seen me compete. And after battling through a bunch of injuries, most recently having a knee replacement and a revision to that replacement, they kind of gave me a little challenge. Do you think you'd ever compete again? And that's all I really needed to hear. And I weighed 238 pounds back in August of last year, and I stepped on a stage April 7th at 185 pounds.
Wow. Wow. Now, when you were back, okay, when you're 23 years old, you played some sports in high school.
Yes, sir.
And most bodybuilders, it seems like initial introduction to the sport is really just working out for sports. You played some football, you played baseball, you track and field.
Correct.
Is that how you were introduced to the sport?
Yes, I actually started with that. When I played football, my football coach at the time, his name was Ralph Stefanski, he had a stint with the Dallas Cowboys back in his day. Okay. And he had brought a nice weight training regime in for us.
And this is
to learn.
Wappingers Fall?
This was actually Beacon High School.
Beacon High
School.
Okay.
And then after having a little injury playing football in my junior year, had to need a little orthoscopic surgery. As I was doing rehab, somebody there said, "You ever think about bodybuilding?" They thought, you know, you're a nice young kid, looks like you might have some potential. Yeah. And needless to say, I kind of kept it in the back of my head. And then when I got a little older, I said, you know, I'm going to try this just to see what happens. Yeah. And I trained. I read every magazine I could find, every book, listened to all the gentlemen and even the ladies in the gym who were doing it already. And
watched Arnold Schwarzenegger pumping iron?
I did,
like 100 times?
Many times, more times than you would like to know.
He said that you get a better burn lifting weights. It's better than an orgasm.
At times,
now, on this
yes.
vast viewing audience, can you confirm or deny that?
I can confirm that sometimes.
Sometimes?
Just sometimes.
Depends on the burn. Let's not get too far into it, but that's what he said.
Yeah, actually, when you get to that state and you really feel your body developing and you feel every rep, you really can get a sense of, wow, I'm accomplishing something. It's an overall feeling of power, entitlement, and well-being.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, now let me ask a couple questions, because it seems like there's always the cop out when you have. I gotta show this again. We can get another shot of it. When you get to a place where you've worked out enough, where your body is proportioned and built up and worked on, how much of that is genetics? And how much of that is just raw work? Like, could you take anyone walking down the street and say, you know, give me 6 months, give me a year, diet, exercise, cardio, weightlifting, and I can get you to this? Or are there just some guys that no matter what you do, the genetics just aren't there? Yeah,
there are people, everybody has different genetic makeup. There's mesomorphs, all different styles, but anybody can get in really great shape. But to what level? Some of it really has to do with their genetic background. Some people just cannot put that mass on unless they want to use some artificial substances for an extended period of time. Yeah. I personally, that's not my route. But yeah, genetics definitely plays a part of it. Okay, and then when you work out, how much needs to be cardio? How much needs to be working with weights? I mean, it seems like there's conflicting schools of thought on that. What's your formula? Because you're obviously successful at it. Oh, thank you. It's a proven fact from all the research I've done that after about 45 minutes of weight training, your testosterone levels drop over 80%. And that's really what you need in your body to help recover in order. So if these people who are training 2 hours in the gym, 3 hours in the gym, they're actually not doing much except breaking their body down to a point where they can't heal fast enough to recover to get the physique.
Because when you're actually doing curls, you're not building up your biceps, you're breaking them down.
Correct. You're tearing the muscle fibers microscopically, and as you rest and as you take in the proper nutrients to make them heal, that's how you grow. Okay, now, you touched on it, steroids, some of these human growth hormones, anything like that. Is that prevalent in the bodybuilding, or are there some contests that they test, other contests they don't? What's when I first started competing when I was 23, I was in what we call the all-natural category, where you took blood tests, urinalysis tests, polygraph tests, just to verify that you were not using any artificial substances. As time progressed, it seems like people want to see the big people.
Yeah, yeah. You know? I mean, almost like cartoonish, really.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of what sells. And the only way you can really get that way, unless if you're really genetically gifted, is to use some substances.
Wow. So you have used those?
I personally have not.
Have not?
That's why I took that. I took that 20 years off. I decided I was done. I didn't want to go that route. But then, you know, when I was 49 years old and my wife said, put that bug in my ear, why don't you try one more time? turned 50 in February, and that was my goal, just to be the best shape I could be at this age and see what happens.
And then you ended up winning the NPC Powerhouse Classic in bodybuilding, men's physique, classic physique, and it was the 50-plus division.
Correct.
But that was in East Haven, Connecticut, just
a couple weeks ago.
a couple weeks ago, and you came in first place.
Yeah, I was surprised, shocked, but very happy.
Yeah.
And it was a national qualifier, so now it kind of gives me a little room that if I want to try it and go to a bigger event, I could try. So we're gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna rule it out. It was nice to win my first show I ever did, and this was gonna be my last, and I won that. So as you mentioned, bookends.
Yeah.
But you never know.
So you go out on top. You come, okay, but it seemed like in your life, and I don't mean to psychoanalyze you because you're a big guy. I don't want to get you upset or anything like that. But it seems like there was sort of a confluence of issues.
Correct.
You just had two lovely young children.
Mm-hmm.
They had never seen you compete.
Yes.
You had this knee injury. Mm-hmm. You said it started with arthroscopic surgery on the
back
meniscus.
in 85.
That doesn't sound too bad.
No, it really wasn't.
This isn't an exploded knee, complete knee reconstruction with cadaver ligaments, and I've heard of horrific things.
Yeah.
What happened that your knee deteriorated to where they were talking you may have to lose your leg?
So what happened was, like I said, in high school I had 2 arthroscopic surgeries from playing sports, but I was fine. I went
That's
about
par
my
for the
life,
course,
par
isn't
for the
it? Yeah.
course. I was working at a previous employment years ago, and I was actually just bringing garbage into a garbage compactor. And there was some sticky stuff on there when you're not supposed to be eating. Someone must have spilled something. My foot got lodged, and I was carrying 2 packages, and it wouldn't move, and everything just snapped.
Wow.
So contacted the surgeon who I originally done the first 2 surgeries. I was pretty confident in his ability. Something went wrong.
Wow.
Within a week, my knee was literally, we use the analogy, if you have your pillow at home, that's your favorite pillow that you sleep,
Yeah.
it's probably about this big.
Yeah.
That's how big my knee was.
I saw the picture because you have it on, I don't know, Facebook or something like that.
Yeah, my knee was bleeding out of all areas. My whole leg was purple to the point.
There's no pain like knee
Yeah,
pain.
it was the worst pain I ever felt.
Wow.
And we had to find a new surgeon, and he had to perform 3 more surgeries just for me to be able to walk. Wow. And then he said.
And how long ago was that?
So 2005.
Okay.
So by 2006, I was able to start walking, and I began to return to the workforce in 2007.
Wow.
And then it lasted all the way up until I was 47, 48 years old before it started giving me a lot more problems. Wow. And it ended up being so much bone on bone at that point that every time I was doing anything, bone was just chipping away.
Wow.
Yeah, so they had to go back in, and I found a wonderful doctor from Claremont Medical called Dr. Rusinoff, and he did a beautiful job. But
did they do complete knee replacement?
Complete knee replacement.
Holy smokes.
But what happened was my body was building up so much scar tissue from all the surgeries that my leg froze. I had about 30% range of motion, so they had to go back in again 6 months later and put another patella in.
So you get all this knee surgery, and then after that you decide, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get back in the ring and do this competitive bodybuilding.
Exactly.
Because someone told you couldn't do it.
That's all it really was. Someone said, the doctor said, you'll probably be able to walk okay. You won't be able to run. You won't be able to jump. But you'll have some quality of life, and I was not happy with that. So I said, all right, now I'm going to prove them all wrong. So I'm looking forward to seeing him for my next annual visit.
Yeah.
I'm going to, give him a little autograph picture.
Come in there with your medal on or something like that.
So it was cool.
All right, so just wrapping up, what would you say to people that come up against difficulty? And what's your formula? What's your you talked a little bit about your relationship with Christ and that, but what would you say for people that are coming up against something, you've been told you might not walk again, you might lose your leg, you overcome that, not just to status quo, but you go on to be a success. What's the secret to success?
Well, I just personally believe that everybody has something inside of them that says you can do more. And you just have to be able to put the right people around you who have a positive attitude and want to build you up and not break you down. I was blessed with such a wonderful wife who that's what she does for me every day. She always finds a way to say, nope, you can do more, you can do better. And with her perseverance and her little nudge, that's really what I needed to say, okay, I'm not going to be just half of a man with my leg and not be able to take care of my kids, I'm going to prove to my kids when they're my age that they can do anything they want.
Hold on one second. Caller, do you have a question for Ralph Castaldi? Sorry.
All right, Marty, that was a dirty trick you pulled. All right, Marty.
This is the guy that does. What do you think? What do you think of those posters you made for us, Mike? I really appreciate it.
That's all, Mike. I told you, remember me, Mike? Marty?
Okay. All right, Tony. Thanks for calling in. That's the guy that makes the posters. He always goes. But listen, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you very much for having me.
I really appreciate it, and you're an inspiration.
Well, thank you.
I've like for years tried to I'd work out a little bit, but nothing like this. Nothing. This isn't even close.
Wow.
This isn't even close. So very impressive.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet you again.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Really appreciate you coming in. Okay, last week, as you'll remember, we had a Connecticut politician who was on who had a altercation of some sort at a Democratic debate, and they weren't being allowed to be in the debate. So it actually ended up going somewhat viral, and Al Robinson, this is a shout out to Al Robinson. If we can get a shot of this, this is just a 50-second clip of the politician that was on. Well, you'll see it. It's Jesse Water, and this is Fox News. This is network.
Call one candidate stealing the show to Connecticut gubernatorial debate, but not for the right reasons.
I am the declared Democratic candidate. I have every right to be here. I filed my paperwork a year ago. I am the declared. I will not be Westerman Schultz by you, ma'am. I have worked very hard. How dare you?
By the way, this is Al Robinson. Al Robinson.
That's how they get me out of the studio sometimes. The woman Lee Whitman was not invited to take part in the debate or refused to leave when asked, so she was arrested and charged with breach of peace and trespassing. She says she's definitely going to be at the next debate. That's all for us tonight. Be sure to follow me on Facebook.
What was her name? Well, there you go. You know, that's how these things work. It starts here on the Marty Heiser Show. And then, if you can get through this, you might make it on Fox News Network. But that was Mrs. Whitnum, a candidate for governor on the Democratic side. And, you know, that's one thing I've noticed. Look, I love all people. Liberal, conservative, wherever you're coming from. But one thing I have noticed, and especially of late, if you want to take a stand for a conservative issue, if you have an issue, Lee Whitnum, of course, Lee Whitnum, that was the lady. She was literally dragged off the stage. You saw it, and it happened right here in Brookfield High School, right nearby. There's no dragging off the stage that goes on this show. And another thing, in this gun debate that's going on now, sparked by what happened, the tragedy that unfolded down in Florida, there's a couple different sides to this debate. School safety, armed professionals in the school, harden the targets. We have professionals with guns that protect banks, airports, even sporting events. Why not the most precious thing we have in our society, and that's our children that are just trying to grow up? So there's a couple different approaches to this, and at Ridgefield High School, where I'm told this whole walkout originated nationwide, there's an alternate view to just, hey, let's take away all the guns, especially those really scary looking ones. And we're joined by Rachel and Matt from Ridgefield High School. Thank you so much for coming in. Matt, you're a rock star. You've been here before. But now my understanding is that you folks put up a couple of these posters, and I'll hold some of them up. But this is the right to bear arms in America, unalienable. It can never be taken away or infringed upon, regardless of the decrees of government. So this is one of the posters that was put up. We can get a shot of that, and there's a couple more. But Rachel, why don't you pick it up there? What happened when you started putting these posters up, offering an alternate view to maybe the prevailing view on this? What happened?
Well, people actually started ripping them off the walls, and my friends told me that they were considering reporting me to administration, but administration had actually already approved these posters and had supported me throughout the whole process, which was really nice of them, and I really appreciated that from them.
Nice of them. I think that is completely commendable by the administration of the Ridgefield High School, because you tell me not only did they allow you to put up the posters, but you were allowed to read this next thing over the PA system. Can I read it?
Sure.
Okay. Hello, Ridgefield High School. I like the start. It's friendly. It's approach. I like that. As you know, the National School Walkout is this Friday. Whether you have decided to attend or not, I highly encourage you to research the issue on your own. I like that. It's very, you're being very, I like it. If you are for gun control, look at the points that oppose this view. If you oppose gun control, learn about the arguments for it. Every student at this high school will be an adult within the next 4 years. Some say you're an adult already. You could be recruited into the Army and sent to a distant land to defend our freedom, and you still can't drink. That's another show. We need to think for ourselves instead of following what our friends and parents say. This is an important issue, and we need to make educated decisions, especially since those decisions may affect every single American. I like that.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to read that over the PA system.
Yes, I was.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
Well, all the posters that were posted up on the wall sparked an outrage. Other kids were tearing them down, and that happened yesterday. I also had a rehearsal at night, and I came to, and all of them were actually torn to shreds on the ground. And today in the morning when I came to school, I saw that for every poster that was pro Second Amendment, there was a national school walkout, like an additional national school walkout posted like right next to it. So it's like the walls are kind of cluttered right now.
So at first they took them down and actually tore them up and, did that.
Yeah.
But now, did they leave them up and they just put an alternate poster next to it?
No, well, I had my long free again, so I had 2 hours, and I went to the library and I saw that the entire hallway, none of my posters were there. Instead, they were covered with the orange National School Walkout signs. So then I printed out more posters and pasted them up too. But then for everyone that I put up, 5 more sprang up because I'm only one person. They have multiple people putting them up for them.
All right, well here, let me be like kind of the referee, if you will.
Okay.
You guys are entering into the world of ideas, and it's kind of like almost a full contact sport, really. And I decry that your posters are getting torn down. And I'm going to guess, because I don't know the answer to it, did you go and tear down their posters?
No.
No.
Because you're freedom-loving Americans that believe in the First Amendment, and they have a right to speak as well. So I would put this under the category of don't let the bastards get you down. I had the same situation. I had a Donald Trump. He's the president now. I don't know if you Donald Trump. I would put a Donald Trump sign out in my lawn. Just about every day, someone was like taking the sign, pulling it out. I had to put another one and another one. I'll take you back before you were born. The 1980s, I was at a small Christian college. This is too much information, but it's my show. What are you going to do? A small Christian college in Illinois. And Ronald Reagan, he's like Trump, but not quite as wacky. But I love Trump and I love Reagan. I would put a bumper sticker out on this bench near my dorm room. Every day someone would come and rip off that bumper sticker. I don't know why it is. The liberals are supposed to be so tolerant and so accepting of other views and everything like that. Yet by and large, they feel, completely self-righteous enough to just go tear down nicely presented posters. There are no swear words. There's no gratuitous violence. So I don't know. It just seems like it's par for the course. What are you going to do?
Well, I put more posters up today, and I have an announcement that I'm reading tomorrow. And, all the posters have to be down tomorrow by 2:30. So then it's
kind
over.
Of like on both sides sort of
yeah.
thing? When I heard about this, part of me was like, golly, those liberal administrators at the high school, they're not letting the pro-Second Amendment voice be heard. I'm going to really get to them. But then you came in and you said you're allowed to read these over the PA system. and it seems like they're trying to promote a positive debate. Am I overstating it?
Oh, no. The administration was really kind and really supportive. They said that they were really excited that someone was bringing in a new point of view, and they helped me throughout the whole process. And today they checked up with me and made sure that no one was harassing me. And then when I printed out more copies, instead of, we have like a hole punch system so you know if the posters are approved, but instead they kind of just put their initials to make the process go faster, and so I could scan them because there were so many of the National School Walkout posters and I didn't really have time for them to hole punch each poster. So they've been really helping me out, trying to get me tape so I can put the posters out because I ran out of tape, trying to prevent people from ripping them down. And actually the principal gave an announcement today about people ripping them down and how that's disrespectful and that we're always encouraging two opinions. This is America, free speech. So.
Round of applause for the administrators. And look at this. Everyone is wound up about that. And you know what we're applauding? We're applauding the ability for young people to have a civil debate about an issue which at the end of the day, especially as it relates to school shootings, and this isn't something like theoretical. I mean, what happened at Sandy Hook is right down the street from where we are right here. And you're kind of, in a sense, on the front line. But I really am so delighted to hear that they've taken that approach. Now let's talk some T-shirts. Any problem with T-shirts? We got to get a shot of these. Where should I hold these up? Over here? Will that work here? Or no, this will work. Okay.
Okay.
What do we got here? We got my rights don't end where your feelings begin. I like that. You got a pretty partisan crowd here. But so what happens here? Do you get asked to the prom when you're wearing something like this?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to get asked anyway, but it's
Why
fine.
not? You're a very attractive young
Well,
lady.
actually, I wore the blue one.
What are you doing for the prom?
Not sure.
Well, now here we go. Do you have like you can text or something? Could that? Listen, this is awkward because we're on TV. You guys talk amongst yourselves. But I think you could do worse than asking Rachel to the prom. But I don't want to get too far into it. But let's talk about this T-shirt.
Okay. Well, I actually wore the blue one.
The blue one. Hold on. I got it right here. Okay, let's
yeah.
get this one.
Okay, so I had to meet with the principal. So this is Wednesday, and I had to meet with the principal in the morning.
Quite a partisan group here. You're not in your high school social science class with, some guy from Berkeley teaching the class. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, so I had to sit down with the principal and discuss, like, the final step of having them approved, because they were approved Wednesday morning.
Okay.
And I enter, she's like, I'm not sure if we could wear
Could go either way.
with guns to school. And I said, well, the dress code says we're not allowed to promote violence, and this is doing the opposite. And she said, okay.
Very
and
good
I continued to wear the T-shirts.
Very good. I appreciate that. Because there has to be some. Okay. With guns, we are citizens. Without guns, we are subjects. And and that's like a again. People are liking it. People are liking these shirts. With guns, we are citizens. Without them, we are subjects. Matt, your thoughts? Matt's still thinking about the whole dance thing. Come on, Matt. Come on. Step up. Take one for the team. All right, here we go. What do you think?
Well, my thoughts with this is you can disagree on the Second Amendment, but the First Amendment, everyone needs to support that, because without civil discussion, what will we have?
I look at it. Okay, Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. First Amendment, freedom of speech and the ability to express yourself. Well, I just want to give a shout out a couple things. First of all, a shout out to those that organized the National School Walkout, because I think, what was the girl's name?
Lane Murdoch.
Murdoch. Okay, I've invited her on the show, just so you know. I've reached out to her mom through Facebook, but whatever. But commend her for putting that together, because it really caught on. But I also commend you guys for providing the same concern and the same, you wanted to just remember those students that died down in Florida, but also bring another perspective to the issue. So I commend your courage and your ability to stand up. And really, at this point in our culture, it's the conservatives that are kind of like the wacky rebels, that are willing to, go against the grain. So I really appreciate that. And a really great shout out to, from your report, the teachers and administrators at Richfield High School. I think they've really, allowed you an opportunity to express your point of view, and I'm so encouraged to hear that. Final thoughts, Matt.
Well, like as I've said before, there can be some disagreements about the Second Amendment, but you can never disagree with the First. Like everyone can have their own opinion. They should be able to voice it, well, as long as they're not endangering others. But if it's a civil debate, there's no reason why anyone should be censoring or blocking ideas from entering the debate.
And those guys that are tearing down posters, just shame on you. It's cowardly. If you have a disagreement, you know, bring your battle to the battle of ideas and have a discussion. Get your own T-shirts, get your own posters, but don't go tearing down other people's posters. And if you have any of those Trump signs for last year, I will find you. I will come find you and I'll get those back. They're sitting in your garage or you probably throw them out. Anyways, go ahead.
Well,
final thoughts.
My final thoughts are, well, really, I just want everyone to research the topic. You don't have to. I don't want people to blindly follow me either. I just want people to make educated decisions and respect each other. And actually, I started a club at my high school that's all about that. You know, branching the divide between liberals and conservatives and helping the community. And I just really wish that people had more common decency and respect for each other's opinions. And I just think it's really sad that that's not the case anymore, it seems like.
Hear, hear. Well, thank you so much. Final question. Matt, are you going to ask her to the, what is it, the spring prom, or how does this work? I think we should, you know,
time will tell.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Will you report back, and will there be pictures of your date with Rachel at the prom, should this come together?
Sure.
There you go, Rachel. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to push it too much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for
All right,
having me.
Matt. Thanks so much. I appreciate you guys coming in, and thanks for that. Okay. Now, if there are small children, please put them out of the room. If there are impressionable, well, we used to call them snowflakes, but those like that attend Berkeley that are easily offended when they hear alternate points of view on anything, you may want to leave. You guys can get t-shirts if you want to, and the posters and stuff. But if there are, you may want to exit, because this is going to be the mother of all roundtables. We have so much to talk about. First of all, FBI Director Comey is proving himself to be quite the, I mean, I just call him like a giddy little schoolgirl who's just a bundle of emotions and doesn't know what he's thinking. And he might end up getting indicted. They just had some kind of, like, the Congress just made a recommendation that he get indicted. This dossier is unbelievably fake. They take this fake document. So, I mean, dirty cops. These guys are like filthy cops. They're planting false evidence, and they're planting it on Donald Trump. And you know, one thing about Donald Trump, he's not your normal politician. You know, he comes out and texts that he's a slime ball. What president does that? I just absolutely love it. I love it. So you're tangling with a pretty tough guy, and guess what? He won the election. He's got all the cards now, so you might be in a little trouble, and you might want to rethink that idea of having a fake dossier, so it's a filthy cop planting false evidence. China, this is something you're not going to hear in the mainstream media. China just sort of blinked on the trade imbalances, where you had to have like 25% tax to sell a car there. They blinked on that. Let's see, a couple other things. The credit rating of Connecticut has just been downgraded. Last time I checked, we had Democrats in the governor's office, lieutenant governor. They ran the House. I think there's a split in the Senate. Every national congressional member on a national level is a Democrat. Of course, who can forget Murphy and Blumenthal, the two Democrat senators? So this is like a one-party state, and you're basically running it off the cliff. And guess what? Moody's and the credit rating bureaus agree with me. Pompeo, you know, some of the Democrats think he's not good enough to be Secretary of State, but he was good enough to be the chairman of the CIA. First in his class at West Point. Last time I checked, those West Point guys are pretty squared away. He went on to Harvard Law School. He's over there with Kim Jong, bad haircut, chubby dude, and he just settled the negotiations on all this. It's pretty incredible. 68 years we've still had trouble in North Korea, but they've had it. Corporate tax rate was taken down from 35% to 21%. We're having GDP growth above 3%. Over 8 years of Obama, we never cracked 2%. ISIS is on its way out. And oh, by the way, this is something you won't hear otherwise too. The IRS ended up having to pay $3.5 million and apologize to patriot groups that they targeted. You remember Lois Lerner and all that. Well, the case was finally settled. They paid $3.5 million to a number of Tea Party groups and patriot groups, and that's other stuff you won't hear in the mainstream media. So I'm so glad we have Mike Medeiros here. We have Al Alper, and we have Dave Streit.
Yo, underdressed again.
Underdressed, but that's kind of your thing.
And what do you think? I walk in, what does Mike say? Well, at least you did your hair tonight. Hey, what's with the hair thing?
I think you cut your hair, didn't you?
The day after you ridiculed me on public TV in front of millions of people, I went out and got my hair cut.
Well, speaking of bad hair, we have a caller. Caller, where did I get that wrong?
Well, Marty, needless to say, I'm surprised you didn't have me on the show tonight.
Listen, you're always welcome, but you have to wear the pink tie.
Well, you got to call me, Marty, but a couple of things. One, how do you know
You don't call, you don't write.
Two, Trump as president should not be making comments about who should be going to jail, in regards to Comey. That a president should call out a private citizen like that. That's not how we do it in the United States.
President Obama did it all the time.
As far as China goes, I could go on a lot about your diatribe. Yes, there was a little there was a little give on the cards. But have you been reading, Marty, how companies that are dependent upon steel, such as say Precision Castparts, are losing orders because increased steel prices because of the tariffs that Trump has put on. Also, farmers and so many other constituencies are getting hammered because of China's retaliation to Trump's putting the tariffs on steel and aluminum.
So the tariffs are a bad idea.
There's a lot more problems than,
All right, so tariffs are a bad idea, and the president should not lash out at Comey.
Tell him to come on the show.
All right. Thank you for the call. And yeah, you're always welcome.
Well, I don't know if
Go right ahead.
if she remembers or not, but Barack Obama used to call out Rush Limbaugh all the time, Sean Hannity all the time. They're private citizens. I mean, maybe
He banned Fox News, tried to ban Fox News from the press corps.
He stuck the IRS and the CIA on James Rosen.
Exactly.
You know, they. I mean, there's been a long tapped their phone and did everything else.
And then
that was Eric Holder. Shout out to Eric Holder.
Obama State
Obama's
Department
wingman
got caught editing out James Rosen's questions from the official transcript of the State Department
on
briefings.
The website. Yeah, that's right.
All right, caller, hold on, because Dave Streit, he's like a volcano. He's got a bunch of good stuff, and then we'll get to you, because you will upset him. If we can get a close-up of Dave Streit, I'm going to show you who's on the phone. If we get a close-up of Dave Streit. Okay, Rich, what are your thoughts?
It's the crazy hour.
Rich. I'd like to have some of that global warming kick in, Rich, if you could work on that. Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna wreck the flow of things. And by the way, you did a fabulous job on the first segment of the show. And I'm telling you, I think you're a natural matchmaker.
I don't know.
Those two have a lot in common there.
I think Matt's got to step up there.
100%.
It's awkward. I ought not to do that.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Matt. It's going on the internet, and stuff usually
He's got a
dissipates.
shot at winning the lotto. He's got to take that shot.
I think Rachel seems like a very nice young lady.
But before I wreck the flow of the show, because you got this incredible
Go
momentum
ahead,
going
go
back,
ahead, go ahead.
grab this cup for a second.
Oh, yes.
We need a shout out to Simon.
Simon.
He's like the president of your fan
Tony
club.
Simon.
The show is not complete.
And he made these things too.
Yeah,
And he
looking at
called
Simon.
in.
Very nice.
He called in. All right, Simon, we love you. We love you. Keep the pick.
Okay, you're going to regret getting me on the show tonight.
Go ahead,
So,
go
this is your last chance to kick me off before I take you down, okay? On
What are we talking? Syria gas?
Chemical weapons. Okay, so when reporters go and prove that there was no chemical weapons involved in that attack,
Hold on one
you
second.
say, bomb them anyway. So then we go and we bomb the chemical weapons factory, right?
Richie there.
And nobody's dead. If you bomb a chemical weapons factory, I'm just thinking there's going to be some gas that spreads and someone's going to die. There's no proof of anything over there in Syria, and yet you say bomb them.
Dude, they dropped the barrel bomb with a helicopter.
I don't
Last
care.
time I checked, the Al Akbar ISIS dudes don't have helicopters.
Where are the dead
They
bodies?
just run around and send people with, explosive
Yeah,
weapons.
okay.
But regardless of
Whether it happened or not, go ahead.
regardless of what whether
Whether
that
it
actually happened or not,
The Earth is flat.
I
The
don't
Holocaust
think
never
that
happened.
What we did there was really it was a strategic move to send a message. And
I'll tell you what, send it by like Federal Express, UPS. Maybe people don't have to die
A
then.
strongly worded letter? Is that what you're saying?
Sending message to the wrong people does not help anything. And furthermore, in the UK, remember when the Prime Minister stood up and said, oh, it was clearly the Russians that were behind, killing the double agent. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. Where's the proof? So they send off.
What did he have? Some bad shrimp, and that's why.
So they
he
send the
turned
chemical
radioactive?
weapon there, the chemical that was used, off to an independent lab in Switzerland that's highly credible, used by the UN. Not that the UN's credible, but stick with it. What do they come back with? They come back and they say, actually, it's of a U.S. origin that was used. It wasn't Russian at all. Okay, that blows that narrative. Syria, there's no proof. Your man, Mad Dog Mattis, came out. Remember, you called it up on the show?
The first time.
No, the first 2 times. And he said, yeah, 3 years later, we still have no evidence that that chemical weapons were used or that the Russians were
But
behind
this
anything.
time he was in that news.
Marty, reporters are showing up on site saying it didn't happen. The whole thing's faked. Here's one of the victims of the attack. The kid looks like brand new. And here's this guy, victim of the attack.
All right,
the guy
So hold
stands
on.
up after the
You
photo op
found
and
that on
says,
the internet.
hey,
Everything on the
everybody.
internet's true, so
last I
clearly it
checked, this
didn't
was
happen.
the Marty Heiser show and not the Alex Jones show.
Well, that sounds nice, but here's the reality. You just said, well, it really doesn't matter if it happened or not. We sent the frickin' message. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it does.
We did send a
The
message.
use of chemical weapons is against the Geneva Convention and a couple other things. And I do think it sent a message. Just like the
Sent
Moab
a
who
message.
dropped on that ISIS mountain sent a message.
Highly
too.
effective, right?
Well, all
so
I
the
know-
CIA goes in a week later, and they all get killed in that exact same spot.
One thing I can tell you, and this is where people during the Cold War, it's a global chess game.
Yeah.
And I'll say one thing. Gaddafi, when we went in the first time, he gave up all his nuclear weapons. It didn't turn out so good. But right now, with the the success we're having in Korea and the Korean Peninsula, they know there's a new sheriff in town, and this guy doesn't play, and he's not going to this isn't the faculty lounge leader running the free world.
And that
This
was the
is-
message he was
and
sending
that
in
was the
Syria,
message
quite
he
frankly. He
sent.
basically
So
Why
said,
don't you write
Where
a letter
other
to Kim
places?
Jong-un and say, we're going to deal with you appropriately? Why do you have to bomb Syria to send a message to
because
Korea?
Bush said it, Clinton
Crazy.
said it, Bush said it, Obama said it.
Said what?
Said, oh, if you don't get in line, we're going to do something strong
Exactly.
against you.
This
And
is-
he just kept growing his nuclear
How
arsenal.
many
and growing.
nations on planet Earth voted with the U.S. when Obama took it to the UN and said, okay, everybody, get behind us on attacking Syria for using chemical weapons? Not one country. It was the first time in American history nobody voted with the U.S. in the UN.
So now you like the UN, because a minute ago you thought they were a ridiculous body. So, you can't have it both ways.
What I'm
But let's assume
saying
for a
is-
moment you can have it both ways. Who cares what the UN thinks?
Who cares whether they actually use chemical weapons or not?
I do care about that. And your point is we're being played the fool. Because your point is that maybe ISIS, maybe one of these rebel groups, they planted this stuff. They got the
Call
video.
up the video
they got us to.
Marty, call up the
Obama.
video clip.
I can't. I got
It's on-
Rich on the phone. He's dying to talk. Hold
Well,
on.
he never has anything intelligent to
Rich,
say.
Rich, are you there?
No.
Rich, tell us where
Even
we're
if he's
going
there,
wrong.
he's not there.
Marty, you never go wrong. You're conservative. Conservative, so as right as you can get.
But you gotta keep it short, Rich. Short and pithy, to the point.
Marty, I got a historic announcement to make on your show. This is a news flash. This is the first time this is going to be announced anywhere in the United States.
You came to the right place.
Kurt Rivas, my sound man, has come up with the new Democratic campaign slogan. We have a new battle cry, and it's going to go on our blue hats, and it's going to have a signature like the MAGA, the MAGA that you guys
Make
have.
America great again. What's it going to be? Make America horny again? Oh, no, that's Stormy.
Clinton's battle cry, too. So let's be fair about that.
That's the best you Democrats get. That's the best you Democrats get right now. We're crushing ISIS. We're bringing peace to the Korean Peninsula, and the economy is going great guns. And you guys are chasing around strippers because you think that's how you're going to get Trump.
You got to guess what's going to be on the hat.
Okay, what's on the hat?
On the hat is going to be the initials M-A-M-A, Mama. Now, take the guess.
Make America, go ahead.
Make America, what could we possibly want to happen?
Rich, you gotta bring this to a close. You gotta land this plane, baby. Go ahead.
Time's up.
We want morality, don't we?
Okay, so make America moral again.
Make America moral again.
Because Anderson, Cooper, and Stormy Daniels are pillars of morality.
And Paul Jones never existed.
All right. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that. Good luck with that.
Just all of a sudden, Democrats have morals.
Yeah,
where did that come from?
And in all fairness, these two are much more interesting than I am. So I'm going to turn over the floor to them.
Not at all. But I got your point, and every time I hear this, it makes me cringe because I know it just feeds the fire.
Because you know
we're
I'm
being
right.
Played the fool, and
Because you know I'm right.
we're attacking people right at the end, and you may be right. You may be right.
And you may not.
And you may.
But someone got a message somewhere, maybe in Iceland. But go ahead.
So just one more note on the Syria thing. Really, what we had to do was strike a contrast with the previous administration when Barack Obama said, if you cross the red line, we're going to do something about it, and then never did anything. So Trump's goal was really to strike a contrast with that and show everyone that there's a new sheriff in town. So done with that, on to the next subject. I want to go back to Comey. Is it just me, or is he just acting like a jilted lover, like an ex-girlfriend?
What a dweeb!
Who just can't get. And
Careful, we're going to agree on something here, okay?
So it's just kind of funny. I find it comical that he wants everyone to believe that during this investigation he was completely impartial and he was Mr. FBI and he didn't take sides. And then all of a sudden, overnight, he's just going to write this book and he just gained all these political biases like out of nowhere? I don't think so. So he's just trying to go around, score some political points and make some money while doing it, and it's really disgraceful.
It really, I mean, I give it to the guy, who's that guy, Stephanopoulos, who said...
he's got good hair.
Yeah, he's got good hair. But basically, he said, well, don't you think you should have told him that this was opposition research as dossier? And he goes, well, I don't know if I really should have said that.
Stephanopoulos didn't follow up with any reasonable, diligent questions, trying to probe deeper. I mean, the fact that Comey stole the work product.
Yeah.
He should be arrested for that. What he did to me, as far as I'm concerned, is criminal. Your private notes while you're the FBI director are not your private notes. They're work product owned by the FBI. Anybody else walks, any regular Joe Friday, not this fake Joe Friday, James Comey, they'd be arrested in a minute. They'd be in jail today. It would be a non-issue. I'm very heartened by the fact that the IG has referred for criminal charges.
Yeah.
It's
very big.
And then the Congress did the same thing.
And it would not shock me if they started investigating Comey and he was referred as well. That would not shock. I think this IG is doing a tremendous job. Not because I'm anti-Comey or anti-McCabe. It's because I actually think there's reasonable, objective oversight not coming from the Sessions, not coming from his underlings, but coming from the IG.
And I have to say, I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but I'm sort of disappointed in the way that Sessions has handled, pretty much almost everything from here on out. It's a big disappointment. But I don't know if you guys saw. Did you guys see James Comey was doing his book tour, and Laura Loomer, who's a citizen journalist, ex-Project Veritas journalist, actually called him out and said, Comey, what are you doing out there? And it's a funny clip to go watch. Her name is Laura Loomer, and she actually called out Comey and was escorted out.
Really?
By security.
Yeah, I saw that. They were trying to shout her down or something.
Yeah,
I'll try and get that. Laura Loomer. Okay.
Yeah, she was the same journalist who, when they were doing Shakespeare in the Park in New York City and dressing up Julius Caesar like Trump and murdering him on stage.
Oh, I remember that.
She was the one who got up and shouted that down. So she does a lot of stuff like that, and it's really funny. I suggest everyone go watch it if you
watch it through. I hope hope this is it. Was he? I think we got this here. If we
Now,
can
is
put
this opposition research, the way you can pull it up so quick?
Yeah, I blame the Russians for this. They came up with this. Hopefully, this is the right one.
Yeah, this is it.
Hey, Mr. Comey. Hey, how is it ethical to brief the President of the United States on an unverifiable and salacious dossier? And how is it ethical leadership to not tell him that his political opposition, Hillary Clinton, paid for that? You didn't disclose that information. Why didn't you disclose to President Trump that his opposition paid for the material? You are not an ethical leader. Today, Mr. Comey, 11 lawmakers, Mr. Comey, today filed a criminal referral against you.
Ma'am, you're going to have to leave.
You're going to get prosecuted, Comey. You're going to get locked up.
Good for her.
Yeah, so kudos to Laura Loomer. I've actually met her a couple of times.
Of course you have.
Yeah, and she's got some cojones to go out there and
I don't
do
want
that
to
stuff.
know that.
I'm telling you, but
That's awesome.
it's the same reaction though from the liberals. Did you see the liberals there at the book saying, "No, how dare you? How dare you ask a question like that? And shout them down."
Meanwhile, what they say about Trump, what they say to Trump, the way these so-called reporters and the way they are just going after him viciously, viscerally going after him. When I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. Report the news, and they don't. They just say the most ridiculously absurd things about this man.
It is
if he was black, he'd be a Democrat, and we'd be racist if we were saying that.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, the only journalist to actually call Comey out during the interview was Savannah Guthrie, who is no right winger. So yeah, she was really the only one to call him out, and maybe there was another one or two, but he's really been getting a free ride from the president. He went on The View. I mean, The View. Come on.
Yeah.
And late night comedy shows.
Another one of my observations before I come on the show again is I need a nicer watch. I mean, look at this guy's watch. This guy must be like living large. Look at this.
What do you got? Like
Well, anyway, so
plastic Timex thing there?
I am a fan of
It's a G.I. Joe watch.
Digital is so 1990s, man. Come on.
Marty. I'm a fan of the $35 watch.
I got a brand.
And let me just tell you one thing about watches, not to digress. Any watch that takes a battery, that uses a battery, is not worth more than $35, just so you know. Okay? Anyway, I digress. But anyway, back on this Comey thing. So think about this. Comey is out there blaming Loretta Lynch. You're not Loretta Lynch, but he's pointing the finger at Loretta Lynch because somehow or other she did something that was incredibly stupid, as if she had a lock on stupidity. And then Comey's pointing at McCabe and calling him a liar, and McCabe is saying Comey's a liar. And you can see everybody pointing the finger, and that's a sign of the whole thing starting to implode. I mean, not to quote, who's the talk show host that everybody, the 6 to 9 hour talk, Mark Levin. Not to quote Mark Levin, but he came out tonight and he said, "You can feel the time is turning." You can. You can just feel this whole thing is like, that whole swamp thing. And when you read a list of all the people in the FBI that have been kicked out and demoted, it's kind of the who's who of the inner sanctum. Comey's going to go. And let me just throw in a couple comments about Mueller and Rosenstein. Mueller was the guy. You remember the guy that was fingered for supposedly using anthrax about 10 years ago? That guy's life was hell for 5 years. Mueller was killing that guy every day, and he didn't do it, and he was found innocent. Mueller just goes, "Hey, got one wrong." No. And Rosenstein, he took down a company called Arthur Anderson, 78,000 people, by withholding information that he was obligated to reveal. They end up after
Wasn't it tied in with Enron or something?
Loosely, but 78,000 people lost their job, and then 10 years later, the complaint against Arthur Anderson was overturned, and they were found innocent. Meanwhile, everybody's out of a job, and the country's ruined. These are the type of duplicitous people we have at the top of this investigation. It's a no-holds-barred knuckle fight. I'm amazed. Now, let me just say one thing in defense of Trump. There has never been a single, prior to Trump becoming president, not a single allegation of him doing anything illegal in the rough and tumble world of construction in New York City. Imagine the people he's had to work with. Here's a guy, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, never done drugs. Pretty impeccable in some areas of his life. I'm not going to defend all areas of his life. Just saying, pretty decent guy in a lot of ways. He fights for us every single day, and I think he's doing a great job.
Well, I think he's 100% completely right. Trump is when he says Trump. Trump is right when he says that everything that's going on with the Russia investigation, with Stormy Daniels, this and that, all it is them trying to make excuses as to why they lost an election that they clearly probably should have won. Given the amount of political experience and money spent, and the money spent and the power on the other side. It's interesting to see when the Russia collusion thing doesn't seem like it's really going to fit together. All of a sudden, Trump is a huge racist.
Bring in the strippers.
And he's a white supremacist. Yeah, and the next thing, when that's really not coming together, all of a sudden, bring in the strippers, bring in, anyone Trump who, has had sex with in the past, and then somehow his lawyer, then his lawyer's personal lawyer's office gets raided by, I personally think that was an attempt to intimidate him. And then Sean Hannity gets dragged into it. And at the court hearing the other day, you have Stormy Daniels' lawyer, Michael Alvanetti, or whatever his name is, going out there calling out Sean Hannity. He's a talk show host. So you go from the President of the United States is colluding with the Kremlin in order to win the election and somehow subvert our democracy, to Sean Hannity used Trump's lawyer and who's defending like a stripper.
Well, the truth of the matter is Trump is taking down the swamp. One piece of, and these are swamp creatures trying to hold on to the last vestiges of power they have, which right now is in the premier law enforcement agency in the world, frankly. And they're still deeply entrenched, but he's tearing down those walls. He's literally tearing them apart one by, and they're just like any wounded animal. They're doing anything they can to survive, fighting their way. But he's going to outlast them.
I think
that man is. You said something earlier that I completely agree with, but I think he does it at a higher level. He's playing three-dimensional chess.
Yeah, he's playing.
He is literally playing three-dimensional. He is moving the chess pieces over here and over. I mean, if you watch any other president before him, they can only work on one thing at a time. They can't walk and chew gum. Yeah. They're only working on this peace treaty. They're only working on this arms race. They're only working on an economic policy. This man is moving chess pieces across the world,
and he's fighting the whole establishment of the deep state.
And he's moving mountains. Well, it will not shock me if at the end of 8 years, and yes, it's going to be 8 years, at the end of 8 years, if we don't see peace in the Middle East, peace on the Korean Peninsula, and a 3% GDP.
He sounds like John
in perpetuity.
Lennon,
doesn't he? I'm telling you.
I'm buying what he's selling.
I'll give him credit. He is playing 3D chess. How he's sending a message to bombing Syria to send a message to North Korea.
That's true.
Genius.
That's true.
It is.
Remember, I'll switch gears and leave you guys alone, and you guys can lament, and you wake up tomorrow and say,
another piece of genius
right again. So remember about 6 months ago when Trump came out and he moved the embassy
in a minute
to Jerusalem?
Yeah.
Right? And it was, it's the end of the world, end of the world, end of the world. Well, what happens? Romania comes out today. They're moving the embassy to where? Jerusalem. There are about 9 other countries right now that are this close to moving the embassy to Israel.
Well, you're making my point. That's 3D chess. He's changing the game.
It's fabulous.
Once you move the embassy to Jerusalem, it takes Jerusalem off the table.
Yeah.
It's no longer it belongs to Israel. Our embassy's there. Oh, you want a piece of it? Sorry. Our embassy. You can't now come in here and fight for it and bomb it. Now you're bombing U.S. property.
Mike, final word.
All right, my final thought is this. I think that they are going to make a play to try to take Trump down sometime within his first term, but I think they're going to fail, and I think he's going to come out stronger, and we're going to come out as a stronger country because of it.
I agree with that. They say, if you're going to kill the king, kill the king. Because if you don't, he comes back 10 times as strong. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the Marty Heiser Show. I want to thank my guest, Ralph Castaldi. Appreciate that very much. And Ridgefield High School, Matt and Laura, we want pictures of the prom. And keep up the good fight. I appreciate your courage. And join us next week when Senator, what's the guy's name that you have coming in?
Joe Markley.
Joe Markley. He will be here, and we have no idea what else is going to happen. But you'll want to come in because it's free. Good night.